It is official as the Oilers get some offensive reinforcements at the expense of losing a key blue liner to the IR. All that more today here on Oilers Digest. We'll dive into the details of Jack Roslovic officially joining the Oilers there. It all happened so very quickly the other night there on Wednesday when during the intermission, Elliot Friedman said, you know what, there's rumblings that, Jack Roslovic may have, spun the block and went back to the Edmonton Oilers. And then 3 minutes later, yeah, he signed with the team there. So everybody was, jumping at the bit to get a piece of that Oiler action there. And Jack Roslovic, more than excited to join the team. And I'm more than excited for you to join me here today. Thanks for hanging out. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here to the channel for any and all Oiler news. It's the start of yet another year. So hopefully, if you haven't already, make sure you join the ride here at Oilers Digest. But Jack Roslovic there, his contract is officially registered there, according to Puckpedia, $1.5 million salary for the rest of the year. And a very interesting tidbit here, it includes a no-move clause that also becomes a 4-team trade list on November 1st, which means starting on November 1st, he cannot be waived, but can be traded to the 4 teams on the list there. Kind of coincides with the return of Zach Hyman there, so both sides, decided, the 1-month trial wasn't enough there. The Oilers could try to recoup Jack Roslovic there for an asset, and I think if it doesn't work out, that'd be some great work by Stan Bowman. Hopefully it does, and Roslovic provides some 5-on-5 consistency for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's something that Stan Bowman loved about his game, saying the one thing we're trying to add to our group is even strength scoring. Obviously, our power play has been pretty strong the last few years. We haven't had as much success scoring when we weren't on the power play, so I think that's something that Jack does really well. We also like his speed. He brings a lot of quickness to his game. He can make plays, play with good players, as he played with, Svechnikov and Aho last year with the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's been an offensive player, and he plays at a high pace. So I think those qualities fit perfectly with our group here. And after signing Roslovic for $1.5 million, the Oilers don't have a lot of cap space left remaining in LTR with 23 active players there, plus Roslovic, plus Yamark Iyer, plus Hyman on LTIR. And of course, to activate Hyman, they got to clear $2.8 million by November 1st there, and that could be, sending a bunch of players down. Matthias Yamark when it comes off IR, Curtis Lazar. I saw, a bunch of people, say, a guy like Ike Howard, but I don't see them sending Ike Howard down. Sure, he could use some time with the Condors, but I really liked what I saw against the Calgary Flames from him on Wednesday night there, and it wouldn't do much for his development if, you promised him the world and everything, and then send him to Bakersfield, and obviously he could hold his own on the NHL ice. And just taking a look at Jack Roslovic, 5-on-5 there, something that Sam Bowman has been, preaching to the Edmonton media, that's something the Oilers obviously need there. But 5-on-5 last year for Roslovic, 19 goals and 34 points there. The one thing you can't really trust him to do is defense there, and that's what worries me. A guy like Kris Knoblauch, a coach like Kris Knoblauch, sort of preaching the two-way game there, and Jack Roslovic wasn't, he wasn't signed to be a shutdown forward by any means. He was, asked to do some scoring there. So hopefully Knoblauch doesn't give, Roslovic the Jeff Skinner treatment there. And just taking a look at his analytics, which, again, defense is tanking him here, but he can score. And that's what really matters at the end of the day. From J Fresh Hockey, Jack Roslovic, offensive winger, but he did play some center last year in Carolina. 54% on the draw, despite being a 44% career face-off guy, which is very weird. But great wheels, nifty hands is kind of a weird fit in Carolina, where he scored at a really efficient rate in a bottom 6 role, but otherwise didn't do that much with or without the puck there. But with Roslovic, if the Oilers do put him in the top 6, there will be lots of action coming his way there. From Jason Gregor, speaking to a few scouts and analysts, his takeaway on Roslovic, best spot for him would be in the top 6. He has skill to finish, but not really the type to be a bottom 6 player unless you have a really strong third line center there, and that could, lead us back to the Nugent-Hopkins situation there. If he does become the Oilers' third line center, and then you run, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent down the middle there, I think there could be something there with Roslovic next to Nugent-Hopkins. Nugent-Hopkins, a very careful player there, two-way kind of guy, and I think he'd work really well with Roslovic there. Nugent-Hopkins, made a career out of, being that very important two-way guy that, gets into the corners there, and, finds the best player on the line there. I'm not saying Roslovic would be the best player on the line, but I think there could be something there. And even Roslovic saying, it's an opportunity to win and an opportunity to play with great players. Stan always had interest, so it's great to be in a place where you're wanted, in a place where they see a fit. Whatever needs to be done, I can do. The chance to put our names on that trophy is huge there, with Roslovic going to the conference finals last year with the Carolina Hurricanes, but trying to get one step closer, and the Oilers themselves trying to get one step closer to finally winning Lord Stanley's Cup there. But I think that could be a very interesting line, with McDavid, Draisaitl, in Roslovic. Obviously, I don't really like Draisaitl and McDavid together for long periods of time, but who knows? You have two really good players, and Roslovic, again, who excels at 5-on-5 play there. And he was on the ice for the first time this morning as an Edmonton Oiler, taking Connor Brown's former number 28 there. It's kind of weird to see, someone other than Connor Brown wear 28 in an Oiler uniform, but Roslovic, could bring some spark back to those digits there. But because Roslovic was officially brought onto the Oilers roster, it comes at the expense of Jake Walman, who has been placed on injured reserve retroactive to the beginning of the season there. And I do believe you had to be on IR for at least 7 days there, so he will miss the game against the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday night there. And just because the Oilers put Walman on IR, it freed a roster spot for the newly signed Roslovic, and Walman would be eligible to be activated from IR at any time. If Walman is activated and Roslovic is on the roster, one player would need to come off either IR or the minors to be at 23. And of course, Yamark is on IR there, so again, they could have to waive a guy like Curtis Lazar or Kasperi Kapanen, but who knows? That is for Stan Bowman, decisions for Stan Bowman to make, as the Oilers get set to take on the Vancouver Canucks there before they head out on the Eastern road trip there. 8 o'clock Mountain tomorrow night. And the lines in pairings from the Friday skate, according to Tony Brower of Oilers TV, Darnell Nurse was not on the ice, but don't get excited, folks. It was an illness. Draisaitl, McDavid, and Trent Frederic. Very interesting to see that top line still together on the ice, even though Frederic, again, I'm hoping the best for him, but he just kind of looked lost and behind those two all night long there. And then Mangiapane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Matt Savoy. Love that line. Podkolzin, Phillip, and Kasperi Kapanen. And then the fourth line of Ike Howard, Adam Henrique, and David Tomasek there. I mean, Ike Howard on the fourth line. Bit of a waste there, but I mean, the left side is just, jam-packed for the Oilers. You could swap, Howard and Podkolzin, and I wouldn't be mad about that whatsoever there. And on the back end, Matisse Ekholm and Evan Bouchard, and with no Darnell Nurse, that means the second pairing for the lines and pairings of the morning skate was Brett Kulak and Ty Emberson, and then Troy Stetcher and Alec Regula, with Jake Walman as the extra defenseman there, but still on IR. And then Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, the two goalies this morning at the practice there. But that does not mean that the Oilers officially named a starter. Kris Knoblauch will announce the starter tomorrow, which is very, very strange for the second game of the season there. Normally, Kris Knoblauch is a guy that preaches second chances there. For a guy like Stuart Skinner, we saw it time and time again last year until he eventually had no choice but to go to Cal Pickard. But it looks like he might have a sliver of hope for putting Calvin Pickard in the starters net tomorrow. Darnell Nurse not on the ice due to an illness. Jake Walman will not play against the Vancouver Canucks, and then Jack Roslovic has passed his physical but will not play Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks. He was training all summer long, but of course Knoblauch says he would like him to get in a few more skates with the team there, not just putting them out there cold whatsoever with the Oilers. But very interested to see what Jack Roslovic can bring to the Oilers, especially 5-on-5. That's something that they've needed for quite some time over the past couple years, not just trying to strictly rely on your power play. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Jack Roslovic, his contract, the no-move clause. I mean, that's a lot of people sort of, criticize the no-move clause, but it's $1.5 million for a guy that scored 19 goals at 5-on-5 last year. That's an absolute steal no matter what happens. I mean, the high risk or high reward, low risk. That's what I should have said. But I'm very interested to see just how well he blends in with this hockey team there. But let me know down in the comments what you think about that, and who should the Oilers go for a starter for tomorrow night, Pickard or Skinner? It's your call. let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, folks, make sure you subscribe here to the channel. Take care. Have a great rest of your Friday, folks. I'm Matt.